The U.S. men's national team faces off against Turkey for the first of their 2 June friendlies tomorrow, June 7th at 2:30 p.m. Central. In this friendly, it's a good opportunity for the U.S. men's national team and their fan base to really understand what they have in the lineup that Mauricio Pochettino called in for the Gold Cup this summer. As we all know, the roster isn't what we had expected, as most of us had thought that we were going to bring our A-team this summer and bring our A-team to the Gold Cup in preparation for next summer, the 2026 World Cup. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and we have a really blended mix of some established veteran players, some fringe players, and some new players that are looking to take their shot for the first time with the U.S. men's national team. With that being said, welcome back to the T26 channel, where we talk about everything related to the U.S. men's national team. And today we are going to do a full match preview of the U.S. men's national team versus Turkey. The history between the U.S. men's national team and Turkey is not great. We've played a total of 4 matches dating back to 1991, and our most recent match being in June of 2014. Overall, the U.S. men's national team has a record of 2-1-1 against Turkey, but again, all of those results are so far in the past, it's nothing that we can read too much into. Turkey is not an opponent that we play regularly, and there's not a lot that we can learn from our past matchups. If we want to feel good about it, yes, we've won our 2 most recent matchups against them in 2010 and 2014 respectively. Each match had a scoreline of 2-1, and overall, our biggest players stepped up in that 2014 matchup where Clint Dempsey and Fabian Johnson both scored to give us the win. Unfortunately, these were both friendly matchups, and we can't read too much into those. It looks like the most recent one in 2014 was a tune-up for the Gold Cup, and it might not have meant that much to Turkey. We don't know. However, this matchup tomorrow, it needs to mean a lot to us, because I know that it's going to mean something to Turkey. Turkey has a lot to gain from playing this match against the U.S. men's national team. They finished second in their Nations League group behind Wales, and they're about to really go into the home stretch of World Cup qualifying. Unfortunately for them, they're in a group with Spain, and the way that the European qualifiers are going, the top team in each group is going to automatically qualify, and then the second place teams, they're going to get into another playoff to see who gets the remaining spots for the 2026 World Cup. Turkey agreeing to play this matchup is not a mistake on their part. In their eyes, they're getting a quality opponent, mostly. I know we haven't been a quality opponent for anybody lately, but historically we have been, and hopefully we can get back on track. So again, Turkey is getting a match against a quality opponent in an away stadium to really test themselves and get prepared for their home stretch of World Cup qualifying. Turkey is coming off of a little bit of a mediocre stretch where they have won 2 out of their last 4 matchups, but their other 2 were a loss and a draw, and they haven't been the most convincing team in the world. However, Turkey has a lot of talent on their roster, and they should not be taken lightly. When you get into the roster, you can see the talent. They have players on a lot of different clubs, a lot of big clubs across Europe, and they're kind of in a similar situation to the U.S. men's national team where they have a lot of players there, but none of their players are really the guy, and nobody is going to be a world beater on their team, so they need to come together as a group and look like a solid unit, an organized team, to be effective. And there is nothing on their roster that says that they can't do that. They may get overpowered by some of the bigger nations, more established nations, but they have a lot of quality and they should never be taken lightly. From the U.S. men's national team perspective, we have a lot to gain as well. We are testing out a lineup that is going to be far from what any of us fans had expected coming in, and we're going to learn a lot about our roster as well. Whether that be who can we rely on in our starting 11 to always be there. I'm looking at Tyler Adams, Johnny Cardoso, Malik Tillman, or who are those depth pieces that are going to plant their flag in the ground and make sure that they get on the roster in 2026. And my eyes are going directly to Diego Luna. I think he has the most to gain from this camp. Outside of learning about our player pool, we can also learn about what different formations we can utilize going forward. Based on the roster that Mauricio Pochettino brought in and the changes that he's made as he's had to deal with injuries and players dropping out, there could be a good opportunity to mix up our formation. Throughout Pochettino's history with the U.S. men's national team, he he's really liked the 4-2-3-1 and kind of shifting to a back three when we're in possession. Based on the players that he brought in and the lack of true wingers and now an abundance of center backs, I think it's very possible that we can see a back three, and we may roll out a 3-5-2. It could be only in possession. It could be, right from the start against a team like Turkey. And if it doesn't work, after 45 minutes, 90 minutes, we don't go back to it. Maybe we try something else. Maybe we try out a 4-4-2 with a little bit of flexibility. I don't know. However, I think that this is the time to test it out. One, the player pool, it kind of encourages that. And two, these are friendlies. They don't matter. I want to get these wrinkles ironed out before we get into the Gold Cup, because as we all know, the Gold Cup matters. It might not be the most prestigious tournament in the world, but it is our last competitive time together as a country before hosting the World Cup. And when there's hardware on the line, we need to win it, especially in CONCACAF. There's no reason that we shouldn't be in contention in that championship match. We've grown enough as a soccer country to where, yes, we are relying on our depth pieces. No, we are not at our strongest right now, but there's no reason we can't be semifinals and expecting to be in the finals, putting up a competitive match. That's what the U.S. men's national team is all about, is fighting tooth and nail to get to where we need to be. And that's what I want to see from the boys this summer. So if we're looking at a back three, I'm going to say that we're going to have Mark McKenzie, Chris Richards, and Miles Robinson as our three center backs. I think that those three players are a good fit for this opportunity and for this system. They've all got exposure to it at the club level, and again, why not try it out? Two out of those three, I think, are our best center backs. And once you get past Richards and McKenzie, you can play with a few things, and putting a little bit more speed in Miles Robinson next to Chris Richards is going to be a big help. Moving to our wing backs. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because I think we have Max Arfsten solidified on the left right now. He plays on the left. He's a winger / wing back for his club, so I think we put him there again. However, Serginho Dest is removed from camp. He's not going to be here, and he would be our right wing back, and he would be our most dynamic, explosive attacking player. He would have contributed a lot in this kind of roster and this kind of formation. However, he's not there. He's rebuilding still and regaining fitness from his ACL injury. For our right back position, who goes there? We could see John Tolkien, or we could see Alex Freeman. I'm going to say that I want to see Alex Freeman. He's getting a lot of hype, and we're hearing a lot about his athleticism. So I'd be very curious to see what he brings to the field, especially in a wingback role where he can capitalize on that athleticism and hopefully bring something forward here. When we get into our midfield five, I think that we are still going to be anchored by Johnny Cardoso and Tyler Adams. Tyler is our captain. It cannot be debated. There cannot be anybody else wearing the armband. He needs to hold everybody accountable and bring them into the fight. That's what Tyler's great at. I think he's a great leader. He's the one who always shows that he wants it. So let's see that from him. When it comes to our three attacking players in the midfield, I'm going to say that we have Luca De La Torre on the left, Diego Luna in the center, and Quinn Sullivan on the right. I think that, we can see Diego Luna and, Luca De La Torre kind of shift in and out of that central attacking role. But I really would love to see Luna stay central and connect passes with who we're going to have up top. I think that that's going to be really important for him, and it's an opportunity that he can capitalize on. Quinn Sullivan playing on the right. He's had a great year with Philadelphia Union so far. He's off to a really strong start. He's an attacking-minded player, and I hope that he pushes the pace and gets us forward. Moving to our front two in this 3-5-2 formation, I'm going to have Malik Tillman sitting just underneath Haji Wright. I think that Malik is going to be able to connect really well with Luna. We can see them shift back and forth as well, and hopefully their creativity can open up a lot of space, and they can unlock Haji Wright, who I think is our best number 9 in this camp. And finally, if we're getting into our score predictions, I'm going to say that it's going to end in a 2-2 draw. I think that we are definitely susceptible to giving up goals with this team and with this lineup. There's no doubt about that. A new formation is prone to leaks, but I think it's something that we need to try out. But on the other side of things, I think that we do have the ability to break Turkey down and open up and split some lines and put the ball in the back of the net as well. So I'm hoping that we can get on the score sheet, we can see some fight, and that this ends in a 2-2 draw. Let me know what you guys think. Do I have the roster right? Are we gonna try out a new formation, or are we gonna sit and go back to the 4-2-3-1 that we know Pochettino is really comfortable with? That's totally possible. Leave a comment, let me know what you think, and also let me know what the score is gonna be. Score predictions down below are gonna be great. We can all track towards it and see how the US men's national team lines up. Overall, I don't think that the score line is gonna be the most important thing that we get from these two friendlies. I think it's gonna be the fight and the aggression that we see out of the boys on the field. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.